With his fiery sermons, unwavering support for Israel, and a ministry that has millions of followers, Pastor John Hagee has been a towering figure in the world of evangelical Christianity for decades. However, behind the pulpit and the public persona, whispers of controversy and speculation have followed him like a shadow. What secrets lie beneath the surface of this charismatic preacher's life? What truths has he kept hidden from his congregation worldwide? At 84, after years of silence and deflection, Pastor John Hagee has finally come forward to address the rumors, doubts, and questions that have persisted for so long. What he reveals is not just a confession, it's a revelation that could change. Are you prepared to learn the truth about Pastor John Hagee? For years, there had been rumors that he was the man of God he claimed to be. Or was there more to the story? Critics pointed to his controversial statements, extravagant lifestyle, and political connections as proof of his hypocrisy, while supporters defended him as a devout servant of the Lord who had devoted his life to sharing the gospel. However, in a stunning turn of events, Hagee sat down for an exclusive interview with a major news outlet. The interview took place in a quiet room at his mega church, Cornerstone Church in San Antonio. The interviewer asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. Pastor Hagee, after all these years, what is the one thing you've never told your congregation? He paused, his face displaying a mixture of emotions. For a moment, it seemed as though he might deflect as he had done so many times before, but then he leaned forward and started talking. There are things I've done in my life that I'm not proud of. He said, there are things I've done that I've made decisions, I've made words I've spoken that I now see were wrong. I've spent years trying to justify them, to explain them away, but the truth is, I've made mistakes and it's time I own up to them. The admission was shocking not only because of what he said, but also because of the raw honesty in his voice. In order to fully comprehend this moment, however, one must return to the beginning. John Hagee was born in 1940 in Baytown, Texas, into a pious Christian family. His mother, Vodi Hagee, was a homemaker who instilled in him a strong love for the Bible, and his father, William Ball Hagee, was a pastor. From a young age, Hagee felt called to ministry, and by the time he was a teenager, he was already preaching at local churches. However, his path to success was not without its difficulties. In the 1960s, Hagee attended Trinity University in San Antonio, where he graduated with a degree in English history. He later pursued a master's degree in educational administration from the University of North Texas. He married his first wife, Martha Downing, during this time, and the two of them had 2 children. However, the marriage was troubled, and in 1975 they got divorced, a decision that would later cause controversy. Hagee's big break came in 1975 when he started Cornerstone Church in San Antonio. What began as a small congregation swiftly grew into a mega church because of Hagee's dynamic preaching style and his ability to connect with people on a personal level. He also started broadcasting his sermons on television, reaching millions of viewers nationwide. By the 1980s, Hagee was a well-known figure in the evangelical movement, known for his audacious declarations. Whether he was discussing American politics, world events, or pop culture, Hagee knew how to make headlines. His bold, unapologetic, and occasionally controversial messages struck a chord, but his influence extended beyond the U.S. border through John Hagee Ministries. His sermons reached more than 200 countries across continents, from Africa to Asia, Europe to South America. His message was one of faith, hope, and an unwavering commitment to Israel. I've always believed that the gospel is for everyone, Hagee said, that it doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak, or what you've done. God's love is universal, and so is his message. His support for Israel became a defining pillar of his ministry in 2006. His bold stance has earned him both praise and criticism. Some see him as a modern-day prophet fulfilling biblical prophecies about the restoration of Israel, while others argue that his involvement in political affairs crosses the line. Hagee founded Christians United for Israel SUI, which has since grown into one of the largest pro-Israel organizations in the world, boasting over 10 million members. Hagee says that standing with Israel was not just a personal belief, but a divine calling. Israel is the canary in the coal mine. As Christians, it is our responsibility to stand with Israel, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's what God commands. I've been called many different things over the years, and he laughed in an interview, but I've never been called indifferent when it comes to Israel. I'm all in, of course, and no preacher with a megaphone, or in Hagee's case, a global broadcast, escapes controversy. Over the years, his outspoken opinions have stirred the pot on everything from politics and LGBTQ+ rights to end times prophecies and the role of Christianity in America. Some critics have accused him of anti-Semitic remarks, despite his unwavering support for Israel. One of the biggest storms occurred in 2008 when then-President John McCain publicly rejected Hagee's endorsement after a resurfaced video showed the pastor making controversial remarks about the Catholic Church. The backlash was swift, and Hagee was forced to go into damage control mode. He acknowledged in a 2010 interview that he had made mistakes and that he was not perfect, but he had always tried to grow as a person and a pastor. However, learning from the past did not stop Hagee from returning to the political spotlight when the 2016 presidential election rolled around. He gave Donald Trump his full support, delivering the invocation at the Republican National Convention, on the grounds that he believed Trump's business background made him the right leader for the country. Of course, not everyone agreed, as some questioned his close ties to certain politicians, while others accused him of using his pulpit to further his own agenda. He said, "I've never been afraid to speak my mind, but I've always tried to do so in a way that's consistent with my faith." Despite the controversies, his influence has only grown. His sermons reach millions of people worldwide, his books fly off the shelves, and his ministry continues to expand in reach and impact. However, as his profile grows, so do the questions about his motivations. Is he a preacher first and foremost, or has his role as a political figure blurred the lines for all the sermons and spotlight moments? There's a part of John Hagee's story that many people are unaware of. The battles fought behind closed doors in the early 2000s brought one of the darkest. Hagee, who was known for his unwavering faith, said that the news of his wife Diana's cancer diagnosis hit him like a wrecking ball and was the hardest thing he had ever had to deal with. He acknowledged that seeing someone you love suffer like that changes you and makes you question everything. At the time, Hagee was leading Cornerstone Church, a congregation of 20,000 people in San Antonio, Texas, and managing his global television ministry. He was a powerhouse of faith, standing firm in his beliefs, but behind the scenes, he was a husband, trying to keep his composure while watching the love of his life fight for her. He recalled that he had to be strong for his family, my congregation, and his. It taught me that no matter how strong you think you are, you need faith, you need prayer, and you need the support of the people around you. Fortunately, Diana recovered, but the storm left a lasting impression on Hagee's life and ministry. His sermons carried a renewed conviction. Hagee had always preached about faith in difficult times, but now he had lived it in the most personal way possible. For years, Diana battled cancer, and Hagee juggled his responsibilities as a pastor, a leader, and a husband, trying not to let fear consume him. If John Hagee had learned anything, it was that faith can move mountains. But that doesn't mean the climb won't be brutal. For more than 60 years, John Hagee has had one constant in his life: his wife, Diana. Their marriage has been the foundation of a family that has grown to include 5 children and many grandchildren, each of whom has carved out their own unique path. However, the challenge has always been being a devoted husband and father while running a global ministry. Hagee never sugarcoats the fact that his unwavering focus on his work frequently meant that family came second, because I've always been so focused on my ministry that I haven't always been there for my family the way I want to. I should have been, he acknowledged, but I'm working to make up for it now. His children have prospered in their own right despite the challenges of juggling work and family. His son Matthew Hagee has taken on a leadership role as the senior pastor of Cornerstone Church, continuing the family's spiritual legacy, while his daughter Tish Hagee Tucker has achieved success as a speaker and author, inspiring others with her voice. However, Hagee is quick to point out that his children aren't just following in his footsteps, they're paving their own roads. "I'm proud of all my children," he said, adding that they've each found their own calling and are making a difference in their own way. One of the most profound examples of his humanitarian work is Africa, where John Hagee Ministries has been on the ground for more than 10 years, drilling wells for clean water, funding medical missions, and providing education to thousands who would otherwise have no access to basic necessities. Hagee knew that faith should be more than just words, it should lead to action. This belief inspired him to go beyond the pulpit and establish a humanitarian force. Through John Hagee Ministries, his organization has funded countless projects throughout the world, focusing on everything from building schools and hospitals to providing disaster relief in times of crisis. Neat, Hagee reflected, but I was also motivated by the people's tenacity, unshakable faith, and sheer willpower. They reminded me that no matter how hard life gets, there's always hope, and that's exactly what he's been providing, from constructing schools for kids in Kenya to delivering medical supplies to hospitals in Nigeria. His ministry has worked tirelessly to improve communities, and his dedication to Jewish communities around the world has earned him widespread recognition. In 2019, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews awarded him the Humanitarian of the Year award for his efforts to help those in need. But if you ask Hagee about his accolades, he'll dismiss them like dust on a church pew. I've spent my entire life preaching the gospel, but there's something I've never talked about. Something that's been on my heart for a long time, and I think it's finally time to share it with the world. Despite his commanding presence behind the pulpit, Pastor John Hagee, who is 84, revealed in a rare, uncensored interview with a major news outlet that it's not about recognition, but about making a difference. If we can help even one person, then it's all worth it. He has struggled with uncertainty throughout his career. There have been times when I've questioned everything he said and wondered if I was truly making a difference or if I was doing what God had called me to do for years. He carried the weight of those doubts in silence, never letting them show. Vulnerability isn't exactly encouraged in the world of televangelism, but behind closed doors, even one of the most influential pastors in America struggled with the very faith he preached. His pro-Israel stance has long been a cornerstone of his ministry, but Hagee revealed that it was more than just a theological position, it was personal. The turning point came in the 1970s while traveling to Israel. Perhaps the most unexpected revelation came when Hagee revealed how he has frequently felt like an outsider within the evangelical community, saying, "I've never really fit in with the traditional evangelical crowd. I've always been a bit of a maverick, a bit of a rebel, and that's made me a target for criticism. But I've never let that stop me from doing what I believe is right." Whether it was his outspoken support for Israel, his fiery sermons, or his unrepentant stance on political issues, Hagee recalled, "I felt this overwhelming sense of peace." His plans for the future are as ambitious as ever, and he is doubling down on technology by using social media, live streaming, and podcasts to reach a global audience. He explained that social media streaming and podcasts are the tools of the future and that we're going to use them to spread the gospel like never before. At 84, most people would be considering retirement or settling into a quiet life of reflection, but John Hagee said, "I'm not done yet. There is still a lot of work to be done. And as long as God gives me the strength, I'll keep going." Has demonstrated that when he puts his mind to something, nothing, not criticism, age, or even time, can stop him. Hagee isn't just interested in following trends, he wants to reach as many people as possible with more than 8. Hagee thinks that technology is the key to spreading his message to all 5 billion people worldwide. His ministry has already embraced live streaming and online sermons, but he is going one step further. Plans are underway to introduce interactive digital experiences, a new podcast series, and increased social media outreach to reach younger audiences. However, technology is only one aspect of the strategy, and Hagee understands that the next generation will determine the church's future. Hagee said, "I've been blessed to have a long and fruitful ministry, but I know that my time is limited, so I'm focused on mentoring and equipping the next generation of pastors and leaders. They're the future of the church, and I want to make sure they're ready." Through the Hagee Ministries Leadership Academy, he is personally investing in young pastors, providing them with direction, resources, and opportunities to help him achieve his goal of raising up 100 new leaders who will spread the gospel even farther than he has.